Hello, everyone, and welcome back to SME Venture. I'm Kashish Tendulkar, and today we are bringing you another insightful conversation with a leader who is shaping the future of India's business and workplace ecosystem. So, today we are joined by Mr. Ishaan Ghai, who's the founder and managing director at Orbit Projects Private Limited, to explore how commercial real estate and workplace are evolving. Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Very good, Kashish. How are you doing?
I'm doing great as well. Thank you for asking. So, my first question to you is related to India's GCC ecosystem. And
Mhm.
currently, it is expanding rapidly and changing enterprise real estate requirements as well. So, from your perspective, how is this growth reshaping the way commercial offices are being planned and developed?
Okay, wonderful. So, Kashish, with large GCCs now looking at India, we are no more, competing between cities. We are now competing with offices globally. So, with GCCs, with headquarters in, let's say, London, Singapore, anywhere coming to India, now they would want to deliver the same work experience to their employees within India. So now our offices, which were earlier better than what we had, and we were only doing time-based comparisons. Now we have to compete and deliver offices which are at par with global standards.
Yes, definitely. So that gets me to the next question. As GCCs and enterprises are increasingly look beyond traditional hubs like Bengaluru. So what is driving the rise of two-tier cities as commercial office destinations, and what will it take for these cities to sustain this momentum? As you just
Okay.
mentioned that we have to maintain with the global standards now.
Okay. So for these, cities to maintain momentum. Now I'll answer that one first because see, we can develop an office, but the city also has to come up to develop an entire ecosystem.
Yes.
Employees no longer are only looking at the office as as the criteria, but they would also be interested in city. What does that city brings to them in terms of traffic, in terms of connectivity, let's say in terms of flights, metro, overall infrastructure of the city. So that is one area where we see that the cities also have to come up. While cost of leasing, rental, employees is less in those cities, and that is what is bringing large GCCs to acquire larger real estate in B town cities. But the cities will also have to come up with the infrastructure that is required to maintain the momentum.
Very well said. So that brings me to ESG. So now ESG is increasingly influencing both developers and occupiers. So when making commercial real estate decisions, how do you see ESG shaping office development, workplace design, and preferences of businesses which are looking for future ready spaces?
Okay. So, when we talk about ESG, environment, uh, sustainability, and all those factors, they are no more. At one stage, they were just a tick in the box. Today, with these global companies coming up, we are also looking at real value, real numbers, outcomes, from all these processes or technologies that we have implemented. So earlier, for example, putting up a sensor in your office for light was enough. But today, with AI being there and technology being there, we would want all systems to interact with each other. So today, we're looking at, let's say, we put up light sensors. We would want them to work with the occupancy at peak hours. They may not just be, standard light sensors which open up at a particular time or close, or let's say your HVAC systems. So now we're taking, environment sustainability to next level where we're also measuring outcomes. What is it that we're achieving by investing in these areas.
At the end, it always comes down to convenience.
Yeah, so that is true. So we I once happened to visit an office where we had all kind of sensors and everything installed, and next to a switchboard, we had this sticker saying that please close it while you leave the office. So, so yeah, we're still in that transitioning phase, but yeah, we're looking ahead to it.
Yeah, but it's better now. It's much better. So,
Much
looking
better.
at the next 5 years, what major trends do you believe will shape India's commercial office market and the future workplace?
Okay. So I think in for the coming 5 years, we see that so earlier, when we would look at BOQs or tenders or contract documents, they were all sitting separately. So civil, furniture, everything, and in one corner you had IT and technology. Today, there is a far larger involvement of IT and technology. We are talking about systems not in isolation, but so let's say something like predictive maintenance. So you have your sensors in place and everything in place. Now we're recording real time data of failures of systems going down, and trying to analyze how can we predict failures and fix them before they happen. So we see a lot of technology coming in and trying to ensure that everything runs fine in
Yes,
the office. Yeah.
very well said. So, if you had to identify one shift that businesses should prepare for today to build a truly future ready workplaces, what would that be?
So I think that shift has already started now. If post COVID, um, it's not about how many people can you fit in one office. It's become how many people can you actually force to come to office, right?
True,
So with
true.
hybrid and everything coming in, so our offices are fancy now. They look like five-star hotels. You have retail, you have F&B, you have everything around offices now. But I think the other areas that we're trying to analyze now are how is it that we can get people to come to work? What encourages them? So things like some people would require quieter zones in offices. Some people would want to work in groups. Some are still okay to work on their desks. So earlier, if we see when we were looking at an office, it was only about efficiency. So people would come out and say that I have 1,000 people and what is the size that we need, but we need to fix in the maximum people. Today it is not about that. Today we're saying that we have 1,000 people and we don't have 500 coming to office, so how can we get them to office? So that's the change that is happening. We're designing now we understand that different people would like to work in a different environment. Let's say you would want to work with a team and you would need a collaborative zone to work. Somebody would like to work in his isolation. Somebody wants to take his phone call over a pod or something. So all of that is changing now. It's not the same office. It is not one office for everybody. Each
True.
office now has zones for various people and the way they want to work.
Yes, even in workplaces, I have noticed that there's a huge workplace, but there are different sections. So there are
Yeah,
cubicles, there are cabins, and there are, huge desks where you can work together.
correct.
So that is something which we have updated a lot since the past few years.
Absolutely.
So now let's talk about AI and the future workplace. So as
Mhm.
AI is rapidly changing how businesses operate and how employees interact with their workspaces. So how do you
Mhm.
see AI reshaping workplace design and the employee experience over the next few years?
So, so I'll start from technology again. So, a lot of, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of sensors have been installed. So, let us say, if we pick up an example of a air conditioning system, which we call as HVAC in our industry. So, typically, we were installing sensors to let's say the office starts at 9 a.m. and the air conditioning would require 2 hours to reach its peak. We would set up the air conditioning to automatically start at 7. Okay, so that by 9 people find a comfortable environment.
Yes.
But now things have changed with AI coming in. There is far more data available. So what we're trying to now do is to understand what is the temperature outside. So maybe on that same Monday at 9 o'clock in Delhi, the same city, it could be a 45-degree outside requiring a different kind of an HVAC system to work. And on a Tuesday, it could be 25-degree with rains and everything, or different levels of humidity. And then it would want the HVAC system to work in a different way. So all of this is being worked upon. Another example that we're working on is, so earlier, let's say your attendance management system, very basic example, with all the automations and everything, it was only telling us that how many people have walked in today. Okay, so let's say you're a team of 500, let's say 300 people are absent, 250 are present, some are late or something. No, now when we're designing workplaces, we're trying to use this data to see what are the peak times or days that people are coming to office. On those peak hours, if we can adjust the lighting, or let's say the HVAC system, or the meeting rooms, what is the utilization of the meeting rooms. So how do we use AI to predict and build systems? That's what the future would hold.
So you just mentioned nowadays it's AI and data driven. So that brings me to the next question. With organization looking closely at space utilization and real estate costs, how can
Mhm.
AI and data driven insights help business optimize their workplace footprint? And can this also translate into measurable improvements in ROIs?
Yes, absolutely. It can be transformed into measurable improvements, because now, uh, so now when we're designing office, it's not only about the number of workstations that we're putting there. Or, so the first question is, let's say somebody earlier would come up to us and say, we have 1,000 people, can you give us a 1,000 people office? Okay. Or these are our X, hiring plans, and we are growing at next speed. So could you prepare us for the future? Now when we look at, and we have access to data in various formats, we can analyze that what are the number of people coming to office, how many are typically on and off, how many are out for sales calls, how many are out for technical calls, how many are out for customer calls. So so let's say large organizations, where you have lakhs of employees, even if you're able to bring a deduction of few percent, let's say 3 to 5%, it'll be huge saving in terms of real estate cost, your overall operations, management, admin, everything. So
So that's
that's how
very
we see, yeah, AI taking up and helping us take decisions. While earlier we were only recording information, now basis this, we can also go back to the client and say, you don't need this kind of a real estate, maybe this is the kind of real estate that you need. So let's say you don't need 500 workstations, maybe you need 20 extra meeting rooms, because that is where most of your people are. So basis our census, basis our data, we've done studies in your existing office, and we know how to design it now. We also know what occupancy levels to maintain in which areas, and this is the best design for your office.
Very well said. So now smart offices have traditionally focused on connected devices and automation. So what will
Hmm.
it take to move from simply connected spaces to truly intelligent workplaces that can anticipate and respond to employee needs?
Okay. So smart, Kanishka, I think is a very overused, word. So, so like I mentioned, okay, so I'll give you another example. So let's say smart. So you've all got meeting room, booking apps now available, and
Yes.
right. So you can choose, you can lock your meeting room. But so many times we have crossed a meeting room wherein you would see a 12 packs room being occupied by four people,
Yes, I
and
have
a four
seen.
pack meeting room
It's
would have
occupied by
four.
eight people.
Yeah, yeah, four people sitting there, four people, standing and doing a meeting. So, when we now start using AI and we start connecting everything, when we start asking next level questions, maybe, and also, so let's say you have a meeting and you have five people, and currently there's no meeting room available, but right after 15 minutes there is. Basis the number of packs, probably I could address you in a smaller meeting room, and somebody else with a high priority meeting could be given a bigger meeting room. So these are decisions that we will be able to take with AI. The way I give you example of HVAC, systems have to start talking to each other. We are so far not connected. Every device is smart. So 300 people coming into the office, and that data being available on your phone is of no use when we talk of it from a office management standpoint. Till it tells us that, okay, there is peak load today. Humans also bring in heat. So let's say there is peak load today, please increase the air conditioning. run, let's say increase it by 10% at 4 o'clock every day on a Tuesday, because we have analyzed that on Tuesdays 4 o'clock we have the maximum number of people in our office. So when we start using that data to connect everything, let's say adjust lighting inside your office to the timing of the day, or adjust music in your office. How would you find if you're working in an office wherein on Friday evening, it starts playing a different kind of music. So that is where we can now use technology to look at various data points, connect everything, and bring in a change for the employee and benefits in terms of ROI for the workplace owner.
Very well said. So you just mentioned technology. So let's talk a bit on that end. So technology is becoming increasingly embedded in the design of commercial spaces. So how do you see technology influencing the way future-ready workplaces are designed, built, and experienced?
So, the way we want to see technology is that it shouldn't be seen anymore. You know, it should work to, so, for example, when you travel by flight, you don't go and walk up to the pilot every time he lands nicely, okay? Right? So, things should just work. You walked into your office, things should just work for you. They should all work. And if it's just giving you a comfortable environment to work and it's working in the back end, it's good for you. You may not need to see it visibly. You don't have to see. So earlier, you would see, let's say, temperatures being displayed, or in between we started displaying air quality. So we are saying now, if everything is working fine, if we have sensors, and if we can measure the air quality, if it's going low after a certain level, our filters should run through. We should change the outside air, maybe introduce more fresh air, and just maintain everything for the employee. So they, during their course of the day in the office, they don't have to see various numbers, right? You don't want to see that, okay, the outside temperature is 45 and my ambient temperature is 25. Okay, or the system is working in such a way, most of the time, you would see that half the office is finding it cold to be in the office, the other half is finding it to be hot. So we could use data to see what are the peak areas where people are, or peak locations in office where people have gathered, and we can change our systems to maybe divert more air there, or make it more comfortable. So once you're comfortable and everything is going good, you don't want to see technology. So technology in true sense, when it is not seen, that'll be the best day.
Great, that's very well said. So, thank you so much, Mr. Ishan, for sharing your insights and giving us a glimpse into
Thank
how the future of workplaces and commercial real estate is taking place. So, you
you.
just mentioned that, we just got to know that so much goes behind the scenes. So much thought has been put into, so much there's detailing in the small things as well. You mentioned the lighting, you mentioned the music, timings on what and when should be done. So it really does make a lot of difference, even for the employees who come to these workplaces. It does make a difference, and it also helps with their productivity as well, because the
Yes,
surrounding does matter. So
it
thank you
does.
so much, sir, for being a part of this interview today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kanishka. Thank you.
A little something you would like to give to our viewers, a little thought or advice?
Come back to work, no more hybrid.
Great.
With a lot of pain, you should come and experience it.
That was a good one. So, and to our viewers, thank you so much for watching SME Venture. We'll be back soon. Thank you.